Where's the love? Where's the love? It's right here in the heart of the city. I'm Silas Grant, and I got my man with me.
Yo.
TL, what's up?
What's up, Joe?
Man, the work never stops.
Man, come on, man. I wish it would.
Never stops, man. We was just sitting here before the cameras come on. You were on a Zoom talking about some of the good work that got to be done, man.
Gotta be done, bro.
Yeah.
Trying to, man, push the needle, man, get this city to a place where, there's access points for all people, particularly in the time that we're in. Justice-involved people continue to be ostracized, blocked, challenged, and then we sort of act shocked at the outcomes of, what happens with not only in their lives, but the lives of their families, lives of their children. So, yeah, man. We gonna get that done. Reconciling in this city, it will happen. I don't know when, but it's like one of those things that I feel like I'm not gonna stop until me and others, right? But I'm not gonna let that just go to the wayside. Yeah. Because without it, I don't think people realize like 75% of the job market is pretty much DC is pretty much cut off from
That's
justice.
a large number.
Yeah, when you look at our growth industries of banking and finance, healthcare, IT. Hospitality, and you may get in some of those industries, you may get a person or two people that slide through for whatever reason, but by the numbers, right? And when you think about education, government contracting, these are some of our other growth industries. It's just like a non-option for the returning citizen population. People's first default is always, they're not skilled enough. They're not trained enough, But what about the ones that are? Let's not even talk about those that aren't. What about the ones? Because what that would mean is the ones that are, and there are a lot of people that are justice involved that have degrees and expertise, and they can't fully utilize it. Right. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so, particularly here in D.C., where 96% of the people that are justice involved are black people. And black people from here. Right? So for our community, it's almost 100% of the people that are incarcerated or have been incarcerated come from our communities. And that relegates people almost to a life of poverty. And we have amazing people like our guest today.
Yes.
That have, changed the paradigm, that have exceeded all, possibilities, right? But I one of the things we like to do on this show is not talk about people like our guests in a way of like, just somebody who came home. Nah, he's extraordinary. We can't expect what he did from everybody. I think it's almost, it's almost.
It's the exceptionalism thing that we do for blacks all across the board.
Exactly, bro. Yeah. Exactly, bro. Why won't you just be like him?
Yeah, like Barack or LeBron. Like the greatest people at what they've done, right?
Facts.
All time,
Facts.
right? It's that story
that
that Chris Rock talks about, how he lived in a neighborhood.
Yeah, with
Gary Sheffield, Mary J. Blige, right? The greatest R&B hip hop singer, Gary Sheffield, one of the greatest home run hitters, and then his white neighbor or whoever
he was
else.
Like a dentist or something.
A dentist,
yeah, he was like
a dentist. His own practice. We're not knocking that, but these are iconic people that you're saying they have to be up against.
That's what we have to be in order to just be in that cul-de-sac. That was his point. It was a brilliant point, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? So we have to create a system that the quote unquote normal person, people that just have the desire to get themselves, they make a mistake, they pay their debt to society, right? They need to come back and have a full citizenship with every opportunity. And that investment in that population, like we've said before here, is an investment in everybody. You know what I mean? Because the little dude, we need to start mapping, like the little dude that, the guys we so up in arms about, that's carjacking, whatever we up in arms about all that. Not to trivialize that or act like that ain't significant, act like that shit, that can't happen to me or you, right? But what I am saying is, who is mother? Who is father? Who is grandfather? Who is grandmother? Mm-hmm. Right? Let's start talking about that and think about, like, you know what I mean? How many times have they tried to, get a job here, do that, you know what I mean? And how does that impact him or her and what they can see themselves to be, right? And so those are the things that, again, man, just been keeping me up at night, And before we get into our esteemed guest, I do want to say, take this time to just lift up a guy that I loved. Somebody I met when I was 22. He was like 10. One of his brothers, Malik Gliss, his family, his mommy, Sandy, his sister Tamara, God rest her soul. Malik lost his life. He was doing amazing, came through pathways, had become a credible messenger with Far Southeast. And it's just been tearing me up, bro. Because I just saw his growth, and I saw the light in his eye and him wanting to help. And I think about all the times we spent when I was working up Kennedy Rec, when I first, got up there and met them, and how they became a part of my family, to the point where it's 2 mentions of them pretty much in my book. One, when my aunt wrote my father a letter about just talking about that. Their mother, Sandy, bought them down Hanover for my graduation cookout. My aunt even referenced them when we did the Legacy series thing. She talked about that, on the Legacy series, but then also I mentioned his son. When I went to visit, his son was in the hospital, and I went up to visit his son in the hospital, and he let me give him some medicine. He wouldn't let nobody else give him his medicine. That's how intertwined. His big brother, roving leader, became a roving leader like I was. Ron, shout out to Ron G.
Yeah, Ron G, good man.
And Lil Greg, man, working over DOES, man. And so I just want to, God rest Malik's soul, man. You gonna live on forever, man. Shout out to your children, your beautiful children. Your legacy gonna live on, bro. And that's why we gotta continue to go harder, man. Because again, when these things are happening, these aren't, and no disrespect to other citizens that are impacted by this violence, I don't want to take away from that. But what I'm saying is, when you from here, these people that's dying, they ain't just random people. We know them.
No, man. I thought about you all week, man, because, I in my mind, I was referencing the generational connection you had with the Gliss family, or you have with the Gliss family. And to know that in very vulnerable moments, they relied on you when they felt they couldn't rely on anybody else. And there's so many individuals that play that role for different families. And I think, in another sense, earlier you talked about not wanting to trivialize the other example you made, but I think it's important for those who may not be as close as we are not to trivialize the relationships we have with those people.
That's right.
Even in the midst of their imperfections,
That's right.
whatever it may be, right?
That's right.
There's something that's deep there, and for you to go from mom to son to his son, that ain't something that I take light. And it made me think about all the people who make that investment in the entire family, not just the person in need or that we think is the only person in need. The entire family is impacted, right?
Yeah, dog.
May God bless his soul.
Yeah, man. Please, his family, dog. And, his mother lost 2 children, bro.
Yeah.
Gun violence, man, in this town, bro. His sister died like 8 years ago. You know what I mean? Like man, what yeah, man, those things aren't norms for other communities, bro. That's just not. Right. That's just not.
I was having that convo last night with a friend of mine who lost his son. My friend is a little older than me. His son was probably about 25 or 26, something like that. So he called me last night. The funeral was maybe like a month ago. And I told him, I was like, listen, people hit you with that. I know you're busy. And I'm like, you my man. Like, if you call me, man, like, you got to call me. So he called me last night. We were talking. And, people were asking him if he wanted to do therapy or go talk to a counselor. He's like, nah, I'm good. And I stopped him on the phone like, bro, this ain't normal. Yeah. You're not supposed to bury your son, right? Yeah, we done it so much as a community, but it ain't normal, man. It's okay for us to acknowledge that. It's not normal. We can't never let it be normal. That's right.
Let the help in too. Ain't no
let the help in.
Yeah. So that's we talked about our guests in the record. Eddie Ellis, we want to first of all thank you for being here with us, man.
Thank you all for having
me. Yeah, man. So, Eddie, you've been a warrior. You've been a fighter, an activist, a mentor, a model for so many, right? somebody who has fought for, and that's in any fight or any topic, there's sort of like the general, but then some of us got our like niche, right? Or our specifics. Like some may say for me is, on reentry side, but then also like children with incarcerated parents, because that's who I am, right? That was. That's who the fuck I was. I ain't that no more. Ain't that something? Right. So, you know what I'm saying? Right. Hey, look, that's crazy. I gotta, I'm still getting used to that. Right. But and yeah, you've been as it relates to return citizens, you've been a fighter across the board. But when we start talking about folks that got convicted as juveniles, I mean, you've been the leader, and even I think drilling down like that, the uniqueness in that experience, right? Even since just through the years, things that I've learn, or it may be in a conversation that either we were having or we were in a maybe at a meeting or something, and you say like, dang, wow, you ever had that like that? I ain't think about it like that, right? And so can you the first question that I would have for you, right? And you're now an author, and we'll get to that later and talk about your amazing book, but can you talk about, right, like, I'm gonna ask you why was that population, children, charged and convicted as adults, and sentenced as adults? Why was that so important for you?
It was important for me because I experienced it as a child. At the age of 16, in 1991, I was convicted on manslaughter. I faced 45 years, but the victim impact statement from the family, she asked the judge to have leniency on us because we were children. And she said, I hope that they do something positive with their life. And for me, going through that experience, I was a mama's boy. I lost my dad when I was 1 year old. He was shot and killed. And it was so bad where I didn't know how to really have a relationship with my father's twin. Because when I see him, I saw my dad. And it affected me so much throughout my life. My father's twin always showed up despite of what he was doing in his life. He always showed up and showed out for me. But going to prison as a child is so different because it's that growth, right? You learning how to accept, quote unquote, where you are and what you have to go through, and if you will ever make it home. And I was sentenced to 22 years. And even at 22 years sentence, I'm 17 now, getting sentenced to 22 years. I'm like, I don't even know what that looked like. Yeah. I don't know what that looked like. And I tried to hold firm and hold strong for my mom. Because if my mom see me cry, how would that make my mom feel?
You got other siblings?
I had a younger brother who was 10 when I went to jail, right? And I had another brother who was born when I was in jail, right? But my 10-year-old brother, I mean, I took him everywhere with me. When I played football, went to Camp Brown, I took him everywhere with me. And but going through my prison experience,
Camp Brown, I'm sorry, we be yeah, that's some DC shit. Y'all ain't hip to Camp Brown, but yeah. So anyway, sorry, I mean, I'm sorry. Forgive me, I do that sometimes. Yeah. We be trying to teach people about there's a lot of stuff about our history that people don't be knowing. Yeah. Camp Brown was a camp that the police would come through and as this when we had boys and girls clubs in the city, and they would take youth in community and I think we still got a Camp Riverview.
They still
DPR call it Camp Riverview. Mm-hmm. So for those of y'all that know Camp Riverview, I think that was Camp Brown. But I'm sorry, I ain't gonna do that no more. Eddie.
Yeah, no, and I played for number 9. I played for number 9 for years.
Yeah, do number 9. Where was Eddie? Tell us where number 9 was.
Number 9 was at Hamilton Junior High School.
All right, so hold up. And so y'all, number 9 was at Hamilton Junior High, which is now the Kip High School by Union Market. Yeah. On 6th Street, but they don't be it's crazy that so in its recent history for real.
Yeah, it is.
But in our city, it's changed so much that you just name 3 things: Camp Brown, number 9, and Hamilton Junior High, that literally no longer exists.
Right.
I'm sorry, but thank you for the history lesson though.
But no, going through it as a child, and spending 15 years in prison, 10 years in solitary confinement, my last, 6 years of solitary was in ADX, in Colorado. And while I was in prison, changing, trying to evolve, I went through trouble, got in trouble in prison.
Yeah, that's clear, Eddie.
Yeah, didn't know how to find myself, didn't know how to mature.
Wait, I only gotta stop you again. Hold. Yeah. Did you just say, so 10 years in solitary confinement?
Yes.
In ADX.
All right. And 6 in ADX?
Yes.
All right. Well, that's probably when ADX kind of first opened. Then what?
No, I went in 2000 to
okay,
ADX.
So towards, okay. You released from ADX?
No, they couldn't release me from. They sent me to Lewisburg.
Okay.
And I went to Lewisburg and came home.
And when your solitary started, how much time you say you doing total?
15 years.
All right, so you was 5 years in.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
21, 22 years old.
I went in at 16.
No, I know. No, I'm talking about.
Yeah, when it started.
Yeah, when that started.
Yeah.
Let me go back real quick, because obviously, like, I know you, but not as well as Tony, right? And for the viewers, right? I don't even know how to pose this question, so I'm just gonna say it. Your experience in the event that led to your arrest, which led to your sentencing. In your opinion, was it a situation where you had like a long path to that moment, or did you get turned out by the streets, or like what was it?
I'm gonna be honest with you.
And I ask that because sometimes you find guys who are like they're in the wrong place at the wrong time, they're in the wrong car, they just they going along with it, and then boom, you got 20 years.
Right.
Then there's some guys they kind of leading the car. Like, what kind of guy were you in that moment?
In that moment, I led the charge.
Okay.
But it was things that led up to that. Me surrounded by different people who was in the streets. Some family and some wasn't. And I was a child. My dream was to play professional football, basketball. That was my dream. I didn't want to go to jail. I didn't want to get in trouble. And me surrounded by the wrong people allowed me to absorb those things around me and think that it was normal. And because it became normal, I no longer saw that anything was wrong with it, right? And I started selling drugs, and I picked up a gun. And with my situation personally, I was in the streets for about a year and a half, 2 years. And the guy that's deceased, I take full responsibility for what happened. I don't glorify it in any way. But something happened with him and a friend where his drugs and his gun was taken from him. And at this time, I'm in Oak Hill. And I come home from Oak Hill for a robbery that I beat. And I was dealing with a lot of frustration and anger because, as a child, go to an adult and talk to an adult. Man, they lying on us. We didn't do this. We didn't do this. Well, y'all always say this, right? This is what they tell us. Y'all always say this. I'm down Oak Hill. My first experience with solitary confinement. I'm 15 years old. I dealt with a lot of depression in solitary confinement. And I fought, counselors, I fought people around me. And when I go to court, August 23rd, 1991, the judge say, Mr. Ellis, you're released. I hope you're happy. And I'm just looking, I'm like, I'm not, right? I just went through something that wasn't our responsibility. And you expect me just to be happy because what you put me through was very traumatizing for a child. And when I came home, my friend had happened with my friend already. So the guy see me and my friend together and pull a gun on us. So now I feel because you pulled a gun on me, I can't lay down on this.
After he had already taken advantage of your man before.
Right.
Got you.
So for me, we were uptown on Columbia Road going to a party. And I'm coming out the building. He coming in the building with two other guys. And he pulled the gun out. And I pulled the gun and I fired the gun and two of them was hit. And unfortunately, one of them lost their life that day. And it's something that I sit back and think, like, I wish I'd have never done it. I wish I was never in this situation before. But I can't change what happened, right? And but that day changed who I was on the inside in the wrong way for many years after that. Because I couldn't accept the fact that I had done that.
Yeah.
And So I went through my prison experience, with a lot of anger, a lot of sadness, a lot of frustration, a lot of, not knowing how to find myself. Because in society as well, but in prison, it's a lot of definition of what a man is. And I had to really find out while in solitary. It's like Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror.
Yeah.
What does that look like to me? And that tough person, the person who hurt people, that wasn't my definition. I had to change that stuff, what I thought. And in solitary, that's what I started doing. I started working on myself. And as I used to write women, I used to say, I don't want to say I was playing game, but I wasn't mature enough to say, this is why I'm really asking you.
Right.
What does a real man look like to you? And when they wrote back, it was many of them. When they wrote back, I lined their letters up and I wrote down the qualities that matched in each letter. Right? You might have, if it's 10, you might have 6 of them that have the same quality that they think a man should be.
Sure.
I wrote those things down. So I started comparing those qualities. And I said, some of these things I'm going to add to myself, some of them I may not be able to. And I started just changing. I said, when I go home, if I ever make it out of prison, because despite your time, you don't know if you ever make it out of prison. People can die in prison and have 1 day left.
Sure.
So for me, it was about, I want to fight for people who are children. And that's being charged as adults, right? Children are not many adults. They're children. We have safety nets in place legally for children. But if a child make a horrible decision, we're saying now, that's not a child. That's an adult.
Yeah.
So these some of the reasons why I fight that fight.
Man, I've always felt, to me, that's the most oxymoronic thing in the world, to charge a child as an adult. That's how he or she is not an adult,
right?
Even and I get this. I get like these things are egregious sometimes.
Right.
It's bad. People, particularly when somebody loses their life, we get it. But that's still not an adult.
Right.
One of the things I want to, and in that same vein, I want as I'm listening to you, Eddie, and you talked about your stay at Oak Hill, and for those of y'all who don't know what Oak Hill was, it was our juvenile prison back in the day. Now it's New Beginnings, or say the long stay facility. We had Cedar Knoll and Oak Hill. Now we got, and the receiving home. Now we got YSC and New Beginnings.
Right.
And I just literally had this conversation yesterday, right? In reference to our Title 16 youth who don't go over, you back when you, in 1991, you was over the jail in the juvenile block,
Right.
correct?
North 1.
Right? So now they house those, the Title 16 kids or children charged as adults at YSC.
Right.
Right? And the conversation was around that YSC or New Beginnings don't prepare, and it's kind of wild in a way, but don't prepare the youngest for where they're going. It's almost too nice. They're going to the federal system when they turn 18. That there is no solitary confinement. This is one of the things that came up. Do you feel like Oak Hill prepared you for the feds?
Well, let me say that Oak Hill was very different. A lot of fighting, a lot of rough and tumble stuff happening down there. And then from my Oak Hill experience, when I got locked up again right away in 91, I went to the jail, then Lorton, because Lorton was still open. So it prepared me for Lorton. But I say this for those who think children should be prepared just to go to an adult prison. Again, why do we want to keep preparing our children to be in adult systems?
Yeah.
Right? These same children can't even go to the military and sign up and be a part of the military to be prepared to go to war. But we want to prepare them to go to a system that's very barbaric, that don't have any care in the world that you're a child, that your brain is immature and you're still trying to grow. They don't care nothing about none of that. But I do understand the side that they won't be prepared because Lorton is not there, right? Because when we went in, we went to Lorton, then to the private prison, then came back, then to Red Onion, Sussex, than to the feds.
Cause even back then, right? That was the whole idea why youth center existed.
Right, and that's why I went at.
It was youth. So you didn't just go straight to,
Right.
whatever the Central, behind the wall, or Aquan, or whatever. You went to youth center if you were a youth. I mean, I mean, it's not that when people talk about like reflect, you don't get that context.
Right.
But that was that was important because I guess people recognize like you can't just send them kids or them 17. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But today, I mean, I think like I told the guy I was talking to, I get what he was saying. The fact that like they are going though, that was his thing.
Yeah,
they are going. And if he was saying that in his opinion, that the juvenile experience in DC now is not consequential enough.
Right.
It's. And I was like, listen to what you saying. Are you saying it's too much love being shown? He like, not too much love. It's just not enough consequence.
And that experience. I think I would use experience other than consequence. And I'm going to say experience in this way. When we go to the feds, every other state, every state, their young people have had that battleground experience.
Right.
When our young people come to the feds, a lot of times, if they don't have that battleground experience. So you have older people that's in institutions really have to be more careful with these young because they don't know. They haven't saw it.
Right.
When we went to Lawton, we was prepared to go to feds, even though we never been to the feds.
Yeah, then probably our prisoners, because the feds is, at this point, is now our state system. Right? It's our system.
Right.
We probably have the youngest inmates that's coming into the system.
Yeah.
People from around the country that's coming into the feds. They not 18, 19. You ain't
Not
got
like
no.
that.
Yeah, not
They
like
got
they
seniority
catching
numbers
federal
in
cases.
crime.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
So I can imagine that's a different dynamic with us too.
Oh, it's a different shocker. I mean, coming from the juvenile block, I never made it to the adult block. So I went from the juvenile block to Lawton. Mm-hmm. Some people turn 18, go to the adult block upstairs, and then go to Lawton. I went to Lawton. I'm in Houston. I had to stay in the hole for a few months until I turned 18 to go out on the compound. So those experiences are experiences. If a young person is going to the feds, they are missing those experiences. I don't want to equate prison to school and minimize what school is, but it's like you putting a child to elementary straight to high school without that middle school experience.
Right.
The social experience that you have in middle school, not just educational, the social experience. You learning yourself in the experience,
exactly.
right?
Just a trivial comparison, like the elementary I went to was a middle school, K through 8.
Right.
Fortunately for me, it closed before I got to the 8th. Otherwise, I'd have went straight from elementary to high school. So I understand that example through I understand that.
Yeah, that's deep.
Yeah, we were small, tight knit, so I get what a kid. Not that I get, but I can imagine.
Yeah.
What a kid would go through straight from the juvenile block to.
Right. Think about this. I love sports analogies. I love sports. Right. A lot of people tried to come out of high school, come to pro in the NBA, couldn't do it. The few that done it was special.
Facts.
Right. And the ones that tried and missed college missed that experience that the LeBrons and Kobe's and KG's didn't need.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why you don't see a whole lot of high school players in the NBA.
Yep.
Let's stop there real quick. Because what I've been thinking about, I just been sitting here listening to y'all talk because I'm trying to formulate how I want to say this. But there's a real tedious, sensitive balance between preparing them, like being responsible enough to prepare a kid.
Facts.
And also giving them so much experience that they become this person with all these sort of tools to do wrong because they're now being educated on the prison system in a way where they professionalize themselves as a prisoner, right? So when we talk about stiffening the laws, toughening the laws, right? Giving longer sentences, not having alternatives for kids.
Yeah, we need them alternatives.
What's the flip of that?
Right.
The negative side of that. Like, talk about that a little bit.
Oh, it's definitely a negative side. That's why I say I don't feel like, I don't agree with, having hard spaces for children. Because those are still children, right? And even though they are going to penitentiaries, we do need to find more social emotional programs for children that's going into these spaces. But the flip side of the reality is some of these prisons don't care about that.
Right.
You're going to still need that. Now people play basketball and you feel, man, they too physical over here. They going to bang more than over here, right? That's how jail experiences are. You're going to have to get that bang to understand. And it doesn't mean that you're going to get in trouble. It just means that you understand what you're around.
Correct.
Because I'm going to give you an example. My first experience with feds was the ADX, and then I come out to Lewisburg. There was some young dudes in Lewisburg that I felt was more of a threat to me in this sense that was homies. They not aware. And because you're not aware, you can do things that get everybody involved in something because you're not aware. Now, I don't want them to get in trouble. But because you're not aware of the things that's happening around you and you miss those experiences, you may put yourself in a situation just because you're not aware.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't promote no young person trying to be tough, be hard. I just want them to get through their prison sentence, come home, right? And there was young guys that I dealt with when I was in. Some of them came home, and they was like, man, even when you was in your worst time, you always try to push me to do right. And I'm like, why would I want you to get in trouble, though?
Yeah.
So it is a flip side. We don't want to make people become hard and desensitized to things, right? And become, quote unquote, worse. We want to create environments where people can flourish and grow. But unfortunately, most people that's in the community that don't understand the impact of the criminal justice system, they want it to be punitive and not in a way of allowing people to grow and become stronger individuals. So when people do come home, right, they're capable enough emotionally and mentally to seek the things they want.
And that's my thing for the public. And 95% of the people that go to prison, they will return though. You hit his rhetoric like log them like they okay. They don't go to jail, but they're coming back.
Right.
And then and because a lot of people have not had relationship to people that have been away.
Right.
Do you think people currently? Do you think people get better? You know what I mean? The system is not, because to me, we shouldn't be talking about making the juvenile system, and it's one of the things that my sister Angel pointed out yesterday I thought was brilliant. We shouldn't be focusing on trying to make the juvenile system more punitive.
Right.
We should be trying to make the adult system more therapeutic.
Right.
You get that? Like nobody said we get that a person may need to go. Right, I mean, if that's what their sentence is, right? Because this is the thing, that accountability conversation is interesting with me. We saying that we want, if a young person makes a horrible mistake and they got to go away, in my mind, it's like we want them to go somewhere to do just what you just described. Right. I ain't got to say that again. You just described exactly what we would want.
Right.
But we all know, right? That's not the system that we have. It's not. It is not. It is literally, and it was also incredibly problematic for me. Is when we talked about BOP, we talked about the fact that these kids will be going in young with a violent crime. Most of them going right to penitentiaries.
Oh yeah,
where they don't know the landscape.
Right.
Where they are gonna be putting the whole car, if you will, in jeopardy. I'm talking like I ain't been nowhere, but I know that.
Right.
Because they don't know.
They don't.
Because they coming from YSC.
Right.
Just young and what young people do, right?
Right.
But the adultification of our children, whether they just as involved or not, is really the driver behind this.
It is.
After you turn 11, bro, you a black male. Don't nobody look at you as no kid no more.
Right.
And those are the kind of things that I think that we have to like really, really start to talk about more. And so Eddie, like, all right, I don't want to. Okay, boom. 80 as he go lose, but you come home. You've decided that these is certain characteristics that you've developed as best as you could inside. And so now, what's the plan? Right, you coming home to mama, right?
Yep.
All right. Put us there. What year is this? And then what's on your mind? What's your plan?
2006 is the year. And I come home, and I go down to the court building. My brother come get me, him and his girlfriend, drive up Lewisburg, pick me up. And my brother, he like, man, what you want to do? I said, let's just get away from here. I'm changing my clothes. He's like, you gonna take the boxes? I said, I'm keeping the boxes on. I don't even care. I'm keeping my sweatpants and my shoes on. Let's go.
Right.
He said, what you want to eat? I said, I want some Doublemint bubblegum.
Dang.
And we stopped at the gas station.
That's crazy.
And I got some bubblegum. That was the first thing I wanted. And we drove back. He gave me a phone. And he said, talk to my cousin. I said, I'm hearing her. I can't talk to her, though. He said, chirp. I said, why she ain't talking?
Yeah.
He's saying chirping.
The next tail.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
right? So
wow.
I hear her keep going in and out. I'm like, man, huh, take it. And then I'm reflecting when I was in my uncle them cars, when I left the street, and when I was younger, they had the big phone like a car battery, or the you can carry out,
joint, yeah.
or the big joint like a 5-pound barbell.
Remember them joints? Yeah.
So when this little thing is in my hand, it's weird. I'm like, man, this is weird. I said, just take it. And we drive home. I go down to the court building, take my urine, check in. I'm home. What they asked us to do. So while I'm there, the lady say, did they give you any thing to tell you what to do? I said, my paperwork say release straight to the streets. She said, well, you should go over Hope Village. I said, no, I ain't going on Hope Village.
Yeah.
My paper don't say that. My brother like, man, let's just go over there and see. I said, all right, we go over there. Knock on the door. I said, man, they told me come over here. Do y'all got any paperwork for me? I gave him my name. He like, nah. I see, he said, but we got beds. I said, I ain't asked you, did you have no bed?
Yeah.
I left. Went back downtown. I tell them. So next thing you know, the guys who, to probation, a supervisor coming and a probation officer. You got to go over the RSC, 28-day program. I say, what? I said, listen, let me tell y'all what I understand right now. I understand I don't have to go nowhere with you because in black and white they say this, right? Black and white tell me I don't have to.
Yeah.
Parole to the streets, not to no program.
Correct.
So my little brother looking at me like, don't. I'm just like, because I'm heated. I ain't get to see my mother yet, nothing. I'm heated. I said, you know what? I'm going to go. I don't know what this program consists of. I go to the program, can't really have nothing, can't really make phone calls, can't really do nothing. I go in there, it's a dude in there I know, done like 25 years, we been it together in the Lord. He's like, man, I want to aid myself. I want to get this youngin' up out of here.
Yeah.
So they like, nah, we didn't have them, both of them on the same floor.
Right.
We put them on the 5th, put them on the 6th. But the program was really consisted of people that had drug issues.
Right.
And that was coming back. It's like a halfway back type situation.
Yeah, it's a treatment.
Right.
Program.
And I'm like, why am I here? I don't have a drug issue, never had a drug issue. You got me in groups all day, so I'm not paying attention.
Right.
I'm not paying attention. I ain't trying to hear this stuff. And I remember one day, my counselor at the time, he said, Mr. Ellis, I know you don't want to listen, that you didn't have a drug problem, but you had a lifestyle problem. And I said, man, don't try to play that fake shit with me. Excuse my language.
That
fake stuff with me, right? But he was right. But I'm trying to, push back what he's saying because you trying to convince me that I need to be in this program.
Right.
So with that thought that he said that, and I was speaking to a brother that dealt with addiction, and that night, and he talked to me about his daughter. And it brought tears in my eyes because this brother cared about his daughter. He just dealt with addiction. And for me, he said, Eddie, you helping me stay strong. Because you staying in here and you ain't really supposed to be in here.
Right.
So I said, you know what? I'm going to stay in here. We're going to work it out together. Right? And we done that. But a week before I was supposed to leave, my PO go to Vegas, send me a letter, say you can leave on this day. That day come, I got my stuff packed. They said, no, Mr. Ellis, you got 3 more days. I said, what? Man, y'all crazy. I'm gone. Call the police on me. I'm gone.
Right.
You know what my counselor did? He called my mother.
Yeah.
My mother on the phone. On the speaker. Eddie, just stay. It's 3 days. Don't worry about it. And her voice calmed me down.
Yeah.
I said, man, that was some sucker stuff you did.
Yeah.
You gonna call my
and you
mother
hadn't
on
seen
me?
moms yet, though?
No.
Yeah, wow, okay.
I haven't seen her yet.
Right.
Right? So I stayed. They sent me the keg, 90 days. I'm like, why y'all keep sending me these programs? So I worked the program. The PO supervisor and my probation officer were very good people. I had very good probation officers. And their whole team, I'm going to be honest with you, their whole team supported me.
Yeah.
Their whole team. And I asked my PO, I said, listen.
Shout out to CISO.
That team I had, I'm gonna tell you
Yeah,
something.
for
That
sure.
team I had was an awesome team of probation. I don't know about else experiences.
Right.
I'm just talking about mine personally.
Sure.
And I'm always give them credit for what they did with supporting me. But I told my PO, he was a young guy, Mr. Ellis, what you want to do? I said, I don't know. I said, but I just need your support. I don't know what I want to do. I really didn't know.
Yeah.
But let me back. In RSC, I created 2 visions. I drew a picture, the window. I put a window and I wrote over top it, drew the window, and under opportunity. I created my resource handbook in DC, right? The window of opportunity pre-release handbook. Yeah. And I drew a picture of me picking someone up. And I wrote one by one. And I created my organization one by one to help young people and family members that's dealing with the system. Yeah. So for me, I wanted to do something, but I didn't know what it was. And my PO supported me. I get home, I get an interstate compact. I moved to Maryland.
Right.
And my PO told me, he said, man, I got a job for you at the register at Safeway. I said, for who? I said, I ain't working in no register. That's the first person they put a gun in their face. Did the register?
Yeah.
I ain't ready for that. And I wasn't. You know what he told Mr. Ellis? Nobody ever told me that.
Yeah.
I'm going to work with you and be patient. So I just started taking any type of jobs. My little cousin was doing landscaping. And I said, man, I want to do that with you. He said, all right, cuz, let's go cut some grass. We started cutting grass, and I did a cleaning job. I done a cleaning job for like 5 years. But in that time, I started getting noticed for some of the work I started doing for my resource book, was in the Post and stuff like that.
Right. You 31.
31 when I came home, yeah. And I got connected with National Legal Aid and LADA, who do so much work around the country with lawyers, defense attorneys, and things like that. And I was on their board of directors. So I did that. So I'm traveling while cleaning.
Yeah.
And we had Lockheed Martin in Lanham. And I remember coming back, and there was an older guy there. He had the Post. He pointing at the Post like,
Yeah,
look.
that's you.
I'm like, man, don't say nothing, man. I ain't trying to lose my job or get my man to lose his contract.
Right.
He was like, no, man, I'm so proud of you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm doing something, you know, and I just stayed on that path, man. And for years, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to hone into all the way, but I knew I wanted to make my mom proud.
Yeah.
I wanted to make my mom proud, man. My grandparents that I still had, you know, and my family, my friends that were supporting me. And that's what I did, man. I made my mom proud. And when I did, I got my first check from cleaning. It was like $220. I was like, Mom, I got my check. Yeah. She was like, you did? How much you get? I said, $220. Got what she did. She said, boy, I thought you were going to say like 2020. Right. I said, no, I ain't got that many hours yet. But she gave me a hug. She said, I said, you take half, I'm going to take half, Mom. She said, nah. Yeah. Give me $50. That's it. Right. You keep the rest.
That's right.
But for me, I felt good to be able to contribute.
For sure.
And help my mom out. And I kept doing it gradually as I, you know, my nonprofit work, I was getting called to do different stuff around criminal justice and disability. And when I did my resource book, I worked alongside with Cedric Hendricks at C. Sosa.
Shout out to Cedric Hendricks.
And a lady at the federal parole agency, Miss Charles Ellis at the time. And they helped me with my resource book because I wanted my resource book to go inside the jails. Right. Because I saw resource books at programs at the desk. And I said, man, I remember G.I. Joe used to say, you know, knowing is half the battle. Mm-hmm. So if we give the people the resources while they're in, they get to write these people, have their family look them up, and they get to get information while they're in instead of waiting until they come home. So that was really the start of me really getting into the advocacy space, the reentry space, and just trying to just do my part.
Yeah, let me ask you. I'm gonna ask you this question too. How much of that 16-year-old was in that 31-year-old?
I'm gonna say this: a lot of him, and when I mean a lot of him, you know what I learned when I was in prison? I fantasized and daydreamed a lot about what I wanted to do, and a lot of my fantasizing as a child took me back to Camp Brown, took me back to number 9, parts of my life that was innocent, which I believe outside of God saved me mentally because those were spots where were positive and fun, right? But my first best friend died when I was 10. Yeah. Was shot in his head. right? And a year later, my other best friend grandmother got her chest shot in front of me. So I'm traumatized like I don't know what. But that 16-year-old was there in this sense. I didn't want to lose the fact that I came home. I'm so serious. Life is so serious. But I matured in a lot of ways. But I didn't want to lose him because I felt if I lose him, I lose a big part of me in this sense. We get so old sometimes and so ornery that we're so serious about everything.
Yeah.
I don't play no games. I don't do this. I'm just serious. And for me, I didn't want to be that. I wanted that 16-year-old in me to still be able to live while I am a mature, growing man. I didn't want him to die. Because him still living was a part of me still living. Because there's some healing that I had to do for him to be who I wanted to become now.
Yeah.
Right? I was living on Sheriff Road at the time. Right? My father buried in Harmony.
Right.
I couldn't go see him. I can't go. Who am I going to become if I leave this site? Emotionally, I suffered for years because of my father's death. And one day I had a dream, and it said, come see me. And I said, man, I got to go up here. But I'm scared, really. I'm really emotionally scared because I don't want to disrupt who I've become emotionally, right? And I used to paint on rocks, on wood, and just write messages. And I went in my pile of rocks and found a few of them. And one of them was new that I wrote. I want to be free. I'm home. And the new one was, Daddy, I've changed. And I took it to the graveyard with me. And the lady said, it's back here. I think it's Lily 111, lot 111, way in the back. I'm taking time going back there. I'm like, man, I'm so scared. My stomach is going crazy. When I got there, I started crying. And I started digging over top his grave. Because I said, I'm going to bury these here. Because I'm going to leave this anger here. Through this symbolically. And I done that. And I never went back. Because I said, if I believe in what I believe in anything spiritually, nothing's there but bones.
Sure.
And I'm always connected with Dad, right? He's connected with me because he helped produce me, create me. And but it was a hard thing, man, emotionally, to keep trying to grow. I sought out therapy, which was good for me. And I saw a therapist for 6 years. And that came from really an incident. My PO in Maryland gave me a card. She said, if you ever need this therapist, call him. He know who you are. He have your files and everything. It's up to you. And I was on the subway coming downtown. And a little guy bumped into me. I said, yeah, you better get out of my way. And I grabbed him. And I put my hand on my hip with my knife. And I looked at him. I let him go. And I sat down. This is true, man. An old lady said, baby, it's okay to cry.
Yeah, she saw that though. She saw that.
I was crying. I ain't even realize. I was so upset. I ain't even realize it. I was numb because in my mind, what was you gonna do to this child, man?
I was going to ask you, right before you told that story, my next question was going to be, what was the challenge once you changed that really proved that you was changed, and that was the moment when you knew you changed?
That was, I had a few of them. That was one of them. But that one made me call that doctor.
Yeah.
And I said, man, I need to see you. He said, I'm in West Hyattsville. Can you get here now? I said, I can't. Couldn't drive because I had seizures. I didn't know how to navigate the metro system like that.
At that time.
Yeah. So I said, I'll get out there. I had like $60. I said, man, I got to get a cab because I ain't going to make it. I got a cab, about $45, $50. And I'm like, dang, I'm broke, but I'm cool. I'm out here. He stayed an hour after his time was over when we talked. And I saw him for 5 years, after 4.5 years after that. And it helped me as a man, as a father, as a husband, as a friend. And I tell people I'm a proponent of therapy. It may look different for everyone on how that look, but that trauma I needed to address, to try to be successful and to try to be out here. I've been out here 17 years. To be out here this long, I needed that.
Because the same way you described the young guys in Lewisburg that weren't prepared, that little boy that bumped you wasn't prepared.
He wasn't.
He had no idea.
Right. No idea. And I was more mad at myself and hurting myself than at him.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know how to, I'm still coping. Anxiety. What is anxiety? Why do I keep going to these stores and having panic attacks? I didn't know. I remember one time I was going to ATM. I tell my best friend, I said, go to ATM and get some money out for me, huh? They went to the ATM. They said, man, your card ain't activated. I went off. Man, I got money in my account. They said, I didn't say you didn't have money.
Right.
I said it wasn't activated.
Right.
But why ain't nobody tell me I need to activate my card? I wouldn't go to inside banks for years because I felt, what if somebody come here and rob the bank? And because I'm in here, I'm a returning citizen. Y'all say I had something to do with it because I'm in here. So I avoided it. I wouldn't go to self-checkouts. It was many things I wouldn't do. I go in the aisle, I want cereal. I just had to write stuff down because I used to panic, have anxiety issues. Because I go in the aisle, I want Captain Crunch.
Too many options.
There's too many options.
And you just unpacked a lot in the last.
My cousin, we had experience when he first came home. With him, it was soup. We was in the grocery store though, and he man, it's just so many.
Yep.
It was like a real, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a thing. That's why I watched that. I've seen that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And those are the things about that experience that people that haven't gone through it or people that don't have family members that have been through it, the public is totally unaware. And as we talk about what the continuum in terms of the criminal justice system, or that it took for you to come home and had your PO introduce you to the doctor, for you to have the willingness and the desire, that's a remarkable, because most people would not.
Yeah.
You know, the urgency to say, I'm going to see you, to even get the therapy. What about why going in as a child, why wouldn't you be getting therapy all the way throughout your, and not like the type of therapy where they examining you.
Right. right.
Because we know that, you know, what you call it, evaluations.
Yeah. Psychoanalyzing
you versus trying to help you heal.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But in it, so if for the public, to me, it's like, if we're gonna, our energy should be spent on, how do we, once we, you know, get the children, how do we again get them to heal? It's things, they're drivers that's causing this behavior. We should be mining for what that is.
Right.
And addressing that.
Right. I don't think a lot of people care, because I think the system is that hamster wheel that creates a lot of funding and a lot of money for people systematically. It creates money, privatize things, create money. They talking about privatize ankle monitors, privatize people that work for probation, people that's calling people in different states. So it's a lucrative business, right? But I tell people this. You think about certain things that happen in Africa where young kids were used as young soldiers.
Yeah.
And now they're finding ways in Africa to help those people who are now adults heal, right? And the way that we look at therapy sometimes over here is one shoe fit all, and it don't. Right? And I didn't know that early on. It's just that I had a therapist that was good, right? I had a mom who really cared and would get on me and tell me, Eddie, no, give yourself a chance, right? I mean, I felt like the dude, I'm going to get you sucker. When I came home, I'm working out one day, I had to send some stuff home from Red Onion. And I forgot I even done it because it's years now, right? And because that was actually 99 that came home. I came home 2006. My mother said, you know, you got a box downstairs with stuff. I'm like, what? I go in the box, open up my old Essex cassette tape and everything. My Phyllis Hyman, Tina Marie tape. I still got the Essex. Yeah, I still got that tape.
Yeah.
But I had the clear cassette joint.
Yeah.
I put the joint on with my headphone, my headband. I'm over the sports and learning complex outside, hitting the steps. My little brother come over.
Right.
He like, what is that? I'm like, what is what? He said, right there. I said, that's a Walkman. You ain't hip to them, Joe? He said, man, they don't wear no Walkman out here no more. They got MP3 play.
I paused back there, yeah.
I'm like, man, what? I ain't know. It made me feel so bad. I'm cranking. I got the S's on. I'm going in. I'm working out.
What you was listening to though?
Yeah.
You got. See, you done took me to a point where I'm real. I want to know what song was it, Cam A? What was going on?
Nah, this was
Cause I want to get in the jam with you. That's why I'm asking.
This was old. This was old.
Okay.
Mickey. Man, Mickey he was putting it in the pot. They was getting it in, right? And I'm just like, dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
So I'm getting it in, right? But for me, it was a wake up like, damn, I'm stuck behind time like that. You know what I'm saying? So I started, my therapy became also carving wood, carving things. And my mother came in the room. She said, Eddie, can I ask you a question? I said, sure. Why do all that stuff look like knives?
The carving.
Yeah. I said, Mom, well, because sometimes, we had to make knives. But I was just making things, right? But I'm just like, damn, she brought that up to me like that.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize it.
Sure, you wasn't
I was just
aware.
making things. But I tell you, it's so much that we go through in prison, whether we was there as children or adults when we went in, it's so much traumatically that we see. Harm up close, death up close, people getting sick up close, and
sure.
it was a hard experience.
That's physically and mentally sick.
Yes.
That's being unaddressed, and
Yes.
That hypervigilance for those that time it's not good. And again, most of us growing up in this city, particularly, in the communities like the ones we come from, that hypervigilance is there even before you go, because you know you in an environment where anything can happen at any time.
Yep.
One of the things that and I've never shared this with you, and I think I've thought about it before. So it's not that I haven't thought about it, but I'm thinking about it in a moment, where some of the work that you were doing on the policy side, before I was really aware of policy work.
Right.
In this space. To me, reentry was working with people when they come like the person to person.
Right.
It's like, oh damn, it's another layer to this. That's what I was saying about things you learn from people when you in certain.
Right.
Oh shit, damn. Oh yeah. Oh damn, that's right. We could change positive. We could change laws.
Right.
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 So talk about how you got into that work, and then I want you to walk us up to our.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. I got into the policy work while learning more about it at NLADA, at the Legal Aid organization, National Legal Aid organization. And then some people contacted me and said, hey, man, we trying to create a national reentry think tank, right? That was going to be funded by, Kellogg and some other people. Mm-hmm. And there was like 5 or 6 of us that was involved in it. And we started talking about how policy looked. Some of them already was doing policies in their state.
Right.
And I'm just like, what can I do to try to change some of this? So I went from solitary confinement, dealing with some policy type of stuff, the impacts of solitary confinement. I did work around criminal justice and disabilities because I had seizures. And there's a lot of people in jail who have disabilities, right? And I don't want to use the word on the bottom of the totem pole, but that's the way it looks in prison where people may have disabilities.
Can I ask a question real quick? I hate to interrupt your flow. The seizure piece, just for my clarification, were you having seizures before you got locked up, or?
No. When we was in Youngstown, I got into a police over soup. He took my soup out the microwave. And I went to Sallyport and started fighting him. Because for us, you don't touch our food. We take our food out. Or it can be another person that's locked up with me, and I'm ready to take this out, cover my stuff up. He ain't do none of that. And they jumped me, and one of them kicked me in the top of my head, and then I started having seizures.
Okay.
You know, so that's what my seizures came about. But so I did the work around criminal justice and disability. And then the job I work for now, the Campaign for the Fair Sentence of Youth, they fight to ban life without parole nationally for children. So they was bringing us in space and allow us to go to different states and different places to testify and learn about policy more. And that's why I got my love for it. I'm seeing the work that they're doing, my colleagues who not impacted by the system. And at that time, it was only 3 of us on staff that was impacted by the system, right? But now half of our staff is impacted by systems, family members and those who serve, and people who we consider survivors as well, that we work very close with. But that's what my love came for. And then I did work around the UFAC, right? If you remember, the UFAC article came out. The UFAC is horrible. Yep. They letting people out on double UFAC. So we responded for articles saying I was a success person by doing the UFAC. UFAC was kept. So then, and I tell people, if it wasn't for the UFAC, IRA wouldn't have passed. If they would have killed the UFAC,
which I remember when what's wild, what's crazy, Ed, like, did you not have Facebook or whatever, Instagram, if you posted your memory pop up? Mm-hmm. So we had it was over Potomac Gardens, believe it or not, was me, the fly popped up from like, I don't know, 8 years ago or something it was or whatever. This was during that time when they was using, you know what I'm saying, trying to, I ain't gonna say no names of some of the people over the Capitol Hill, but they was really, trying, like he said, trying to kill the UFAC.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And one thing that step out that also, like, it was my little man Manuel had just came home,
right,
and he was trying to get the UFAC,
right,
or he had the UFAC. I'm sorry,
right,
he had the UFAC,
right,
and all he was thinking about was how to get it enforced. And thanks be to God, Manuel is actually in the fire department now.
Right, that's awesome.
You understand what I'm saying?
Awesome.
So like you being again, like I was saying, like a model, not just like a role model, but a model, somebody that people could point to. Like this, why we, you know what I mean? That's just powerful. Without that, like you said, without saying Manuel wouldn't have been able to be on the fire department.
Right.
You know what I mean? His life he's a fireman. He's serving. Awesome. He's a public servant.
Right.
Who loves his job. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. He made a mistake as a kid, as a youth.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
You don't throw people away, bro. People can grow into.
And then you think about if Emmanuel has a child, and that child aspires to be a firefighter, and that becomes a legacy.
Facts.
Right.
Facts.
It changes.
Right. Right. Right.
So yeah. So you say to you, okay. Then we get the Incarceration Reduction Amendment Act.
Right.
All right. What year is that?
We started 16.
Okay.
And working on it. But I'm going to tell you how that came about, though, with the IRA. My colleague now, Crystal.
Yeah, shout out to Crystal.
Crystal Carpenter.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
she called the Campaign for the Fair Sentence of Youth after calling tons of organizations in D.C. saying, what's going on with this? Why are we not doing this? What can we do? Yeah. She's a genius. And Crystal called, and this before I came on staff, and at the time, Nicola answered the call, and Nicola told her, I don't know. Nicola was new. Mm-hmm. She said, I don't know what we can do, but let's stay in contact. They stayed in contact, but Crystal the one got that going.
Yeah, sure.
Then Nicola
shout out his poor brother, James.
Yeah. Nicola called McDuffie. Mm-hmm. Yeah. McDuffie was the lead on IRA.
Correct.
And a lot of people don't give that brother his credit
and
his props for the stuff that he has done, right? And so he's done that. So we start testifying get people to testify for people that's been impacted, family and others. And it happened, But before that happened, West Virginia had passed bills and stuff like that. So we do it nationally,
right?
And IRA passed, and I'm going to tell you, I cried because it was so many people that I know and didn't know that was going to get a chance to prove that they deserve an opportunity. That's right. And I can tell you, going to court early on, me and Chris was at every hearing. And because we wanted to see the balance of the judges, what they're looking at, what was more important, what information legal teams can use, what information litigation specialists can use. And we partnered with PDS, private attorneys, For a while, we led in placing attorneys, private attorneys, firm attorneys on cases.
Right.
And which my colleague Rebecca done that. But it was one of the best things that I could say that I was a part of. To see people come home, to see people doing awesome work, to see that these folks are in the community giving back when they don't have to.
Yeah, for sure.
They don't have to, you know. And
You also led an effort to support them too.
Oh, for
when
sure.
when they return. I just think that's important to raise.
I was
going
gonna
to
say I first met you at a support meeting
Yeah.
at his and hers. So when I was working with Kenyon,
Right.
we put on a dinner for about 30 IRA recipients.
Yeah. Right.
And they all got together, and I realized then you guys had a weekly
Yeah.
hybrid, like virtual and in-person
Yeah.
meetings.
Twice a month.
Yeah.
Yep. So before they start coming home, my organization that we're Campaign for Fair Citizen View, we have a national lifers group
Right.
that we do. And that group of people have called Incarcerated Children Advocacy Network, ICANN members. So this is across the country, and we are leading calls across the country with folks. So I go to an organization in D.C., me and Crystal, I said, listen, we're a policy organization, right? Y'all a resource organization. Let's partner together and do this. At first they was like, nah, we ain't sure we want to do this, blah, blah, blah. We don't do nothing exclusive for nobody. This is a group of people. I'm like, all right, we'll do it ourselves then. Then they've realized, nah, you know what, let's do it.
Right.
Let's partner with them, do it.
Right.
So when people started coming home, our ones that was in person, you know, we fed them, we gave them gift cards for coming. And because we wanted to respect their time. And we didn't want to assume that by you getting down here, that you really could get down here.
Yeah.
We wanted to give them something to say thank you for coming, for your time. It ain't a whole lot, but it's something to say thank you, right? And then COVID hit, we started doing it on social media, on Zoom. And I'm going to tell you something. These are powerful experiences. We don't invite just anybody in those experiences. These are safe experiences. And we make sure they get resources. We got funding through OVSJG to support people, IRA folks with, you know, their rent, their gas, you know, food, all type of stuff.
Yeah, man.
You know, a brother just came home the other day. We helping them get a bed. You know, we helping them get food. We helping them get clothes, money for clothes for work. So for us, it was so important to make sure they had a safe space to go to, and a space that they trust.
Sure.
Right? And in that space, we are all, forget that we started. We are all at the head of the table with this. Right? What resources do y'all got? The brothers talk about the resources so people can know, because to us, it's about us helping each other and not us trying to pretend that we're leading anything.
Sure.
This is about the folks who need the support. And I'm going to tell you, we never not having 20, 30, 40, 50 people on the calls.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? So they come out to those calls. You know, when we got resources, you know, we get them the resources, you know. And with my job, like I tell our guys, if you know, want extra resources, you got to be an ICANN member. Because, again, our organization is a policy organization that try to do small things to help people resource-wise.
Right.
But we want to respect the organizations who are doing resources, right? But where we can help in the gap, we do. And with our ICANN folks that's across the country, but I'm going to talk local, that's local, we do national, I coined it when I came in, self-care experiences. Our first one was 5 years ago, when really wasn't nobody really home here. We flew people from Pennsylvania, Arkansas, Michigan to Pennsylvania on the water. No expense of theirs.
And these are all guys
And women.
and women.
Yeah.
All people that was convicted as juveniles.
Yes.
Though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Convicted as juvenile when they were juveniles as adults. Is what I'm
Yes.
saying.
Yes. And we
Yeah.
created that self-care experience. But now we're calling it community care. We have a therapist come, a social worker come in, you know, work through some programming for people, and we enjoying it. People in the lake swimming, people fishing, people playing golf, people doing all this stuff. We buy fires, and everywhere we do it is by water.
Yeah.
No expense of yours. All you got to do is get off from work. We gonna get you there.
Yeah.
And we just had one last year in Maryland at a spot, and one of the brothers said, man, Eddie, do you know since I've been home, I haven't had a chance to rest. We don't have the luxury.
Yeah.
All that you miss, you come home now, you 30, 40 years old. You don't have that longevity where people talking about building up no money. You don't have that.
You gotta get to it.
That's why most of the Irish guys got 2, 3 jobs.
Yeah. And I mean, nobody probably say this publicly, right? Enough, right? And again, that's why I do want to again shout out at large Councilman Kenya McDuffie.
Oh man, yes.
You know, his legislation and this particular legislation, I mean, and also you can't leave out the ban the box, the
Right.
NEAR Act,
Right.
You know what I'm saying, the equity joint,
Right.
the DC natives, all these
Right.
things that he's done, that these deposits into, you know what I mean, black Washingtonians is gonna, you know, this is generational, and he's helping families with this, right?
Right.
These guys, that was a scary time. I remember that time we was down at outside of 555 for that rally,
Right.
when the U.S. Attorney's Office was kind of speaking out against that. You
Right.
remember? I remember
Right.
that, right?
Right.
And because people was afraid.
They were.
But most of these brothers have come home, man, and melded into the community, man.
Yeah.
Gave back, doing
Yeah.
good work.
Yeah.
The recidivism rate is incredibly low. I mean, but the rhetoric or the narrative, as they say during that time, was like, this is gonna be the exact opposite.
But they the most ready for change.
They are.
You know what I mean? And it's like they're proof, right? That change is possible.
Change is
right?
possible. Right. Right.
And so like, and it's crazy that you'll have so many people that do well, and you have, you know, a isolated incident happens, and the people grab that. It's like that becomes the norm.
For sure.
And that's the scariest part. You know, even with with so many of our youth, you know, that are doing phenomenal.
Yes.
But it'll make you feel like every young person in this city ain't doing nothing but carjacking.
Man,
Right.
I saw somebody was speaking about this, where they broke it down in a very statistical perspective. Like, it's literally 1% of youth that are really like at the core of like the challenges that we're seeing in the city, right?
Yeah.
Where like 99% of them are going to school, SYEP participants,
Correct.
extracurricular activities, right? And that's not to say that 1% should be neglected or that we should just brush over it or
Yeah,
gloss
because it's
over
serious
it.
with, for
But
sure.
if the 99 are not getting credit for doing what they're supposed to do, then they start teetering over to that side to get the attention that they've been looking for.
That's a good point.
You know?
Eddie, how do we, and I'm sure through your travels, right, people done told you, man, you should write a book, man. Hey, Eddie, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You should write a book, you should write a book.
Yeah.
How did you get to the point where you just said, you know what, I'm going to do that? What happened?
I started on the inside writing, right? And when I was still in the ADX, I started writing. I should just, buy, notebooks of paper and just write. Fill it up, put it down, and fill it up, put it down. And I remember one day, I was halfway, I could have did a book at that time. And they did shakedown, and we came out of the room, and the officer came out, he was like, Ellis, I just knocked the water over on your desk. Dang. I got as much off of as I could. I said, okay, it's cool. So I come in, get the towel, wipe the rest off. But the metal desk, we had concrete desk. The water came off.
Yeah.
I ain't even thinking about it. I'm cleaning the top. Water then fell down on my legal work, on my writings.
Oh, man.
So about a day or two go past, and I'm cleaning up, I'm dusting. And I'm like, damn, where did all this stuff come from? Why am I had them in manila envelopes. Water soaked all through it. I'm like, I can't save none of this stuff. I started over. My uncle, he passed away. I just got denied parole for no reason. Parole board said,
Your uncle being the twin brother?
no, his older brother.
Okay.
His older brother. My father's older brother, he passed away. I got parole, but the parole board take it back and say your level of violence in the institutions don't dictate you being released. But the reality was they didn't want to say, Mr. Ellis, if we let you go now and you get in trouble, you can go right back out on your mandatory release date. They couldn't say that legally, so they make up an excuse. So I didn't start writing again. So when I came home, I started writing again. I started getting fresh thoughts again, started writing. And over the years, different stuff happened, me doing a program, me doing a book, stuff stopped. But I still find myself writing on pad on the computer. And man, I had so many bad breaks, man. I had a lady working with me from Howard that was a social worker student. Time of her, I sent her all my brand new files. No, this is what happened. I go down there, talk to her, the social work school, sent her the files that I had. We gonna fill in the gaps, okay? So because we fill in the gaps on her computer, because I'm talking to her, I don't have it on my computer. She say, my computer is blacking out. I met a guy, C. Sosa, who was at pretrial, who was an IT person. I used to come down, I used to see him all the time. We always talked. I said, man, this lady got a computer with all my stuff on it. Can you save it? He said, yeah, get it to me. She sent it to somebody else's computer. I can't get nothing.
Oh, man.
So I just said, forget it. I don't even care, you know. And my wife, she said, no, just go back through what you got. And that's why I started piecemealing. New thoughts, some old thoughts came back up. And a friend that I met named Rebecca, she said, Eddie, I remember you talking to me about your book 5 years ago. Are you finished? I'm like, you remember that? She was like, yeah. I said, Rebecca, I don't even know if I'm going to do it. She said, let me read it. I said, it's raw. I sent it to her. So she's going to Oregon with her kids and her grandkids. And she said, can I submit this to a company? I said, let me talk to my wife first. I was like, this let us just see what happened. The company said, we ain't never published anything for somebody that was formerly incarcerated. We would love to have this after reading it. And finished up, tightened it up, and I spoke to them. They gave me a team of people. I told them, I said, let me tell you this. I don't want to lose my voice in my book.
Yeah.
My voice is my voice. If it's some punctuations, things you change, and that.
Correct.
And they did that, and came out on Mother's Day last year, man. And I tell you, man, I had another friend, Kathy. She said, Eddie, I want to do your book launch for you. And I'm like, nah, I don't want you to do this. She said, no, I got you. I want to do it. Let me do it. You always doing something for somebody. Let me do it. And we done the book launch, man. I had, brothers fly far as California come in. My brothers from Philly came in, Michigan. They came in and saw it, man. And for me, for my little cousins, my, brothers and stuff to be there, family to be there, friends to be there, to see this, it's like a lot of the Ira guys came, it's like, man, we saw you doing a lot of stuff and we were still in. But I'm trying to be an example, not the example.
Come on, man.
Some people want to be the example. I want to be a example, a mustard seed example to say, here's some things we can do. That's it. And be consistent, and from the work I've done over the years, even I did probation officer trainings with C. Sosa before. Well, I put on a suit, new recruit, they ain't know who I was.
Right.
Boy, they put my stuff up on the board. The people, man, he should never come home. He should have arm monitor, ankle monitor. And I'm sitting up there, and the supervisor, she looking at me, watching my face.
They put your jacket on the...
Yeah. Asking him, what would you do with him?
Yeah.
It was like 3 or 4 people that said exactly what my probation officer's done.
Right.
It was 3 or 4 of them that said exactly every step. And when they realized, and the supervisor said, well, if he was here, would y'all tell him the stuff that you saying? Nah, why would I say that? But no, you were saying these things about him. Would you tell him that? The negative stuff. So she said, well, look, he's here, tell him. So everybody looking around, I'm looking around.
Yeah.
And then I stand up. And the dude beside me was like,
Wow.
I stand up, I said, look, I hear what y'all said about me. That was wrong. I'm not going to say anything wrong to you about what you said. But I just want to say this. I'm a person. I was a child when that happened. I am not that paper you read. Yeah. Get to know who I am before you judge me based on what happened back then. And I built relationships with a lot of them probation officers that was there because I learned to respect that most of them don't want to harm us. Most of them want to do a job. So how do I help my probation officer do a good job? Here's what I'm going to do with my life.
That's right.
Here's the support I need from you. My probation officer left, C. Sosa went somewhere else. We still talk to this day. Yeah. I still talk to his supervisor, that was his supervisor, and some of his other colleagues because they humanized me and I humanized them back, right? Judge me based off what I do and not based off what somebody else you've dealt with, right? That's 17 years, man. I've built relationship with these people, right? And that's what I try to do in the community. How can we build relationship? How can we help people move forward? How can we teach people how to fish and not always fish for them, right? How can I give a person a true opportunity to be successful, right? I can't complain that someone doing something wrong when that's all I'm showing them and I'm not giving them a true opportunity. You wondering why Incredible Messages, some of them have to have 2 jobs? Some of the money ain't efficient. Look, DC is expensive living in DC.
Yeah, one of the most expensive places in the country.
Right? So if a person can do both jobs efficiently and good enough, allow them to do it and don't take away opportunity for people to really try to build financial wealth as much as they can.
I think we should applaud it. People trying to work multiple jobs. I don't think we should get in the way of that.
No.
Ever.
No.
I don't care who it is. You know what I'm saying?
No.
So Eddie, can you tell us, and I just want you to keep going in terms of, but when somebody purchases this work of art, right? Like, which, and it is a memoir.
Yes.
Right? What do you want the takeaway to be?
For me, I first want to bring people proximate to my experience.
Okay.
Right? Because I believe that proximity is very important, right? It's a lot of things that can happen through proximity. And I'm bringing people a true experience of my life. I'm bringing proximate to what I went through and experienced, how I've changed, why I've changed, and a lot of things that I'm doing with my life. I talk about my family, my friends, my children, the work I'm doing around the country with working with other folks who were children. That was sent. Some of these folks were sentenced to die in jail as children, you know. And I want people to see that people can actually change when you give people opportunity, right? If you put people in a situation where they can't grow, they can't have opportunity, what do you expect to happen? But when you put them in a situation when you have opportunity, we have opportunity to grow, to build on yourself financially and emotionally. Now you got people that's gonna do what's right by the community. But we can't take opportunity away and complain. It don't go together.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So I want people to know we can change. You know, but my change may be different from someone else's change. Someone may have dealt with addiction and you found the strength to change. It's something in there for you, right? I talked about, you know, how I looked at having hope, and hope led to faith, right? And faith led to belief for me. I talked about daydreaming versus faith, you know, how that helped me in my experience, right? How are you utilizing your time, your life to grow, to change, right? And for the brothers and sisters that's in, give yourself opportunity. Here's some things that I did with my life while I was in jail to try to better myself. I educated myself. I stopped surrounding myself with people who are doing crash dummy stuff in jails when I came out of, you know, when I was in ADX, same way, but when I came out to Lewisburg, same way. I have a mindset that I'm trying to accomplish something and I'm gonna set out to do it. So it's an experience of someone going to jail as a child, someone losing their father, someone going through emotional trauma as a child and even as an adult in prison. Someone found the strength to go seek therapy, right? Someone now is home fighting for people who were sentenced to die in jail and other extreme sentences, children, helping them in spaces like our community care experiences, right? The relationships in the community that I'm building across the country with folks. You know, with folks, when I talk about proximity, folks I've known and met now that's in corporate America that probably would have never talked to somebody like me. Yeah, but me sitting down talking to them, they are humanizing me, I'm humanizing them. Okay, you in corporate America, that's cool. I don't care nothing about none of that. But who are you as a person? That's right. You can have everything in the world and you are trash as a person. Yeah. You know, so for me to meet these new friends, to build these new friendships, I can say it's thousands of men and women out here who've been impacted by the system, who's doing awesome work, right? And if you allow yourself to sit with some of them and learn this, you would then see that you shouldn't be promoting all these harsh sentencing laws, especially on children. Yeah. right? We're taking our children away from us. And these are black children mostly. We say black and brown is true, but these are black children.
Not in this town.
That's being taken away for decades.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right. Not in this town. Yeah.
Change is possible. I never gave up. Eddie, the title is Change is Possible. But walk me through how we get to the point where change is probable.
Well, giving yourself that opportunity to change, to understand what change look like, right? Environment, even in prison. When I was in population, I tried to surround myself with people who were in the law library, guys that's doing right. And that gave me an opportunity. After I went through lockdown for so long, you know what? I can do this. Because people said, man, you got 22 years, you doing all this stuff. What are you really? But in my mind, it wasn't the time. It was the environment in my immature mind and my pain that I was going through. I had a lot of pain that I didn't know how to release. And when I learned how to release some of that stuff, that's when change started hitting my head. That it's possible, it could happen. And I'm going to tell you, when I told you I buried the rocks over my father's grave site, it was something I saw in jail with Ayanla.
Mm-hmm.
It was a program she had for women called the Star Node Program. Tony Braxton's sister was on there. Mm-hmm. And I was listening to some of the things Ayanla was saying that goes across the board to everyone. But this program was for women, but the information was for everyone. And listening to her helped me a lot. Get rid of a lot of things inside of me that I was holding. And that's where I started winning. Because I used to get so upset and angry about things, and that lead to depression. And it puts me on a bad path. So now I'm showing myself and other brothers and sisters, hey, there's other ways we can do it. Yes, if you get angry, that's a natural emotion.
Correct.
But what are we doing with it? Are we waddling in it? Are we staying in it? Are we trying to get out of it and do something different? And that's the stuff that I'm promoting, because if we train people mentally on how to accept the fact that this do hurt, I wish this wouldn't have happened, but what do I do next? Some people don't have what do I do next in them because they wasn't shown.
Yeah, sure.
When I talk to some of these brothers and sisters about self-care, they say, man, I don't even know what that is. That's white people stuff.
Yeah.
I say, it's not though. Our people across the world has been healing itself in so many ways. You look at some of the traditions in Africa, the way they heal themselves and come together as a community to do certain things, that's a form of healing. Right. So now you talk about healing circles, that come from a lot of stuff, Native Americans, all type of stuff. So what are you doing to put yourself in situations to be able to heal? I got kids. I married into 2 kids that I love so much. I have a biological son. But I knew even with the kids I married into, I have to be right.
Yeah.
I can't come in a situation harming these kids emotionally, nor my wife. And that's why I just kept trying to get help, make sure I was good enough, that I was able to express myself in a positive and healthy way, right? And I want the kids to do the same thing. The 2 older than them, they're adults, 27 and 26 years old. My baby, he's 10. He's just turned 11, sorry. So for me, I just want to be a must-see role model to my kids. Yeah. Be an honorable husband to my wife and the people that I'm able to support that's former juvenile lifers that's a part of our, circle of people. I want to be able to say that I've done my best by them. I want them to say, you know what? I trust the fact that Eddie gonna do his best by me. And that's all, here, me and Chris will do a lot of stuff with them locally here, but, they'll tell you, man, a lot of them be like, man, y'all do so much for us, man. Y'all don't ask us for nothing. Mm-hmm, sure. But that's what we supposed to do for you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I feel good that they can say, we're not using you. Anytime we do something with them, we pay them for their time. Anytime. Because for us, we know as people that's impacted, a lot of times that don't happen.
That's right.
Your time is minimized, right? You bring in professionals to talk in classes that went to school for this, and you pay them. But this brother or sister experienced it firsthand, and you don't really give them anything, right? So we try to make sure that we doing that we up on that, and we try to keep our head to the ground, ears to the ground, eyes to the ground, make sure we doing what's right, because we can harm people and not know it if we don't stay connected to the people.
Hey, where can before we get out of here, man, please let everybody know where can they find the book, how can they purchase the book, and where can they follow you and stay up on the things that you're doing.
Okay. Amazon.com has the books online. Barnes and Nobles, you can order them from Barnes and Nobles. You can contact me personally on social media.
Once you hold it so they can see the image of it too.
Thank you.
So when they looking at it.
Yeah, here's the book, Change is Possible. I Never Gave Up. It's my heart on pages. It's a good read, short read, straight to the point. But yeah, you get me on Instagram, Eddie Ellis DC, Facebook, Eddie Ellis. Just reach out, and if any way I can help anyone, give any assistance, family members included, please reach out, because I want to just be a servant to the community and to my folks as long as I still got the energy. So thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate you, bro, for everything.
And I'm going to say this on record, on camera. Things you shared today, we all got people that have served time. I'm a person that supported a lot of friends who've been incarcerated. I've never had a conversation like this with somebody where they've really peeled back as much as you have in this hour or so that we sat here and talked. There's some things you shared today that's going to make me sit down and really think about the experiences of other people and what they go through. And it gave me an even clearer understanding of what people are up against in a way that I just had never really thought about. Some of the most simple things you shared, so I appreciate that.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Sir.
Okay. Well, another great episode with another great guest, Eddie Ellis. Again, y'all, change is possible, and we want to make sure that change becomes probable.
Yes, sir.
For a lot of people. Thank you guys for listening. It's my prayer, not just my hope, but my prayer, that people listen to this conversation and it gives you the context of what's happening out here today. Some of the things these young people are going through, he went through. These experiences that they may not be able to handle as well as he has. And we got to be able to put our arms around them and help them get through these situations and navigate them. So, Tone, thank you as always.
You already know, bro.
Eddie, thank you for being with us, man. Thanks to Anwar Kong, too, for allowing us to have this platform, man. Movement has been supporting Heart of the City from day one. Sure, so we appreciate you guys for listening and watching. Go to the YouTube channel, like, subscribe, leave comments, and go get this book.
Can I say one more thing before
Yes,
we
sir.
leave? Sure. I just want to say this to the public. I know there's a lot of things happening with young people, right? But there's no child is born bad, right? We can't throw our children away, right? And I say that with all sincerity. And again, if people didn't hear it, I take responsibility for what sent me to prison. I'm not glorifying anything. I'm not a part of that glorification of negativity at all. I've learned and grown from my experience, and there's many other people who have experienced this have done the same thing. But we got to love on our kids and give them opportunities instead of just always think about throwing our kids away. It's alternative things for children. And one of the things I think is very important about alternatives is also supporting the parents of those children that need support. Because if we support the parents, that trickle down to the kids. So thank you.
Yes, indeed. One love. We'll see y'all soon.
Heart of the City.